Hello, welcome to Cirak Live, our weekly getaway to stillness, clarity, presence, and honest answers. A special shout out today to our friends in China. We have multiple streams running. In fact, we're on StreamYard here, and then we have Facebook and LinkedIn and YouTube and X and Instagram and Tencent running all at the same time. So it's a major stream today. Again, thank you for the. I'm going to switch back and forth once in a while to say hi to our Chinese friends. And you have that translation setting. I will speak slowly. Hopefully that will work. Catch up with me. All right, we have a very important topic today, and that is the topic of awareness. It's the ultimate word. Presence, stillness, consciousness. Many different words. They're all pointing to the same place. I like awareness because it doesn't necessarily have a stigma attached to it. The word self-aware is a common phrase, and it really is the most important thing that we can work on. So we're going to look at what prevents us from being more self-aware today, and what can we do about it. Always following up. Never point out a problem without also offering a solution. That's actually one of the tips and tricks, and if you want success in the workspace especially, that you can point something out but offer a possible solution or two or three. So that's not about blame, but it's about solution orientedness. It will take you very far, and also keep you in a certain frame of mind so that you're not just focused on problems and identifying what's wrong and getting stuck in possibly blame and pointing fingers. That doesn't help anyone, and it certainly doesn't help ourselves when we stay in that place. But to see something that isn't working, to identify it without necessarily causing the whoever caused it to be wrong about it, including ourselves. The self-criticism, self-critic is often the loudest voice, but rather to notice it and then to take action. And this is really what awareness is all about. It's being aware of how something makes us feel. I often talk about how awareness and acceptance are two sides of the same coin that basically take us through our entire evolution. You can be aware of how something makes you feel, then you're not identified with it. Awareness means noticing, oh, this is where I feel it in my body. This is where it's showing up. And this is how it feels. That's a very different experience than, I don't want to feel this way. It shouldn't be this way. Who's to blame? What can I do to push this away? And also when it comes to pleasant feelings, that's even more difficult sometimes is, ooh, I like this. I want more of this. And you start to cling. And that too can cause us to get stuck in a very big way. That's what addiction is all about, the repetitive patterns. So it's all about learning to notice, where do you feel something in your body in response to environment. That's the body's intelligence speaking. Allowing yourself to feel something, letting it arise and pass, even the unpleasant things. You'll find very quickly that even unpleasant things are very manageable. They're not meant to hurt us. It's only the story that we put on top that makes it super amplified and makes it much more dramatic. But without the story, the mental reaction to the feeling, but in the pure experiencing of the feelings, your sensations, physical sensations, you'll then notice wisdom arise. So something triggers you, and instead of looking at the object or the person or whatever happened as the cause of something, stay connected to your body. Notice, where does this show up in my body? Locate it, and then characterize it. Look at its shape, its size, its color. Some people even say give it a name. This is what jealousy feels like. This is what anger feels like. This is what resistance feels like. Whatever it is, the point is to witness it, to observe it, not to get entangled with it emotionally. Then we start to get pulled into that feeling and then we amplify it. The reaction to the feeling, oh, I don't want this because it's unpleasant, makes it much more unpleasant than if you just allow that to arise and pass. It takes a little practice, but not too much. And then you get the hang of it. It's like, oh, this is what I'm feeling. And as soon as you allow yourself to feel that, and then as it dissipates, so all feelings come and go, you'll notice insight to, that arises. You'll notice wisdom that arises. You'll notice a clarity of perception of what is happening in front of you or around you. And in that clarity, you see, oh, this is what I should do to remedy the situation, or this is what I should do to perhaps step away. Inaction is also action sometimes. So instead of being guided by reactivity, by judgment, by I don't want this situation to be, this is all these all mental aspects of entanglement in what's happening. Instead of acting from that place, you act from this place of clarity. Your mind never loses its balance. You use it for what it's good for observation, for analysis, and information gathering. But you feel your truth. You feel the truth of the situation. And that truth tells you what you should do next. And you could call this inspired action. This is ultimately the source connected state, the source led life, the intuition led life. When you operate from your body, from the wisdom of felt knowing, as opposed to from mental negotiation and judgment and resistance and the need for control. The mind is full of fear. It's always looking out for what could happen next and what could be wrong. That has a purpose. It wants to keep us safe. But when we're always in our head, then we're always focused on the future and what could go wrong. We're never here with what's happening, responding to what is. This is what wisdom, ancient wisdom, mindfulness, presence, stillness, higher self, gut, intuition, inner divinity, all the same words for the same thing. That's what it's all about. Is this learning to disentangle from our mental gripping of a situation, the control of the situation, and learning to feel what's there and taking action from that place. Now, the mind is used to having a lot of control. It wants to be in the driver's seat because we've been trained that way. We've been raised that way. We've been conditioned to live in our heads from earliest age on. Through our parents, we learn that we need to act a certain way to please them so that we can get their love. And when we go into education, to the school, grades are the most important thing. And then the next class, and the next grade, and the next graduation. And if you don't do well there, then it'll affect the rest of your life. We get more and more fearful instead of more and more magical, more and more inspired about life, this incredible life that we suddenly find ourselves in that's ahead of us. We become instilled with fear, with anxiety, with, okay, this is the next step, and the next step, and the next step, and the next step. If you're not careful, your whole life can go by and you haven't really lived because you're always chasing the next goal, the next outcome. And we all do that. I've done that. But some of us recognize it sooner. For example, when you're exposed to a session like this, and you become more aware of that pattern of just chasing your happiness, you don't have to do it too many times to recognize, I've been sacrificing how I feel now, how connected I am now, how joyful am I now, for something that I'm hoping will make me happy in the future. And I can talk a whole session around how that is a complete illusion to know that we know now what will make us happy in the future. It's not even logical. You'll be a different person a year from now, yeah, even a week from now. How are you going to predict now what will make you happy then? So we chase these external goals that other people put on us. And so we keep living for the exterior and we never look inside. And awareness, self-awareness, is all about the self. You have to get to know yourself. Those layers of conditioning that I just mentioned a moment ago that get put up on us, that we're imprinted by our families, our environment, our culture, external education, expectations in education, in the workplace, all of these layers, like layers and layers of onion that are not our true self, that are external uh, conditions put on us. That's the goal, the job is to become aware of those layers so that the awareness dissolves them. If you're not aware of your conditioning, all the subconscious stuff, we've all heard the numbers that 95% of our behavior is controlled by our subconscious. It's nothing that we actually are aware of. It's the fear, it's the lack, it's the need for control, it's things like jealousy, it's trauma that may not even be our own, but that we inherited from our parents, and they got it passed down from their parents, and so forth and so forth. There's so much stuff down there. And it's blindly controlling your behavior unless you become aware of it. Becoming aware of it requires doing sessions like this. It requires doing some exercises. We're going to do one in just a moment. And it requires things like journaling. It requires things like setting time aside, like everyone here has, to spend time in the company of those who are not attracted by distraction as much as they are interested in more meaningful conversation, more depth talk, doing things and spending your time, even if it's just 1 hour per week. That will make a bigger difference than to keep avoiding, keep escaping, keep distracting ourselves from what will ultimately hurt us in an even bigger way later on if we keep denying it. If we don't shine the light of our awareness inside into our inner world, it will keep repeating the same patterns because it controls us. We blindly react from what's stuck within. So I have a graphic that I'm going to share today, and let's bring that up. I call it the Wheel of Awareness. Mm-hmm. I'm going to bring it up on all the other screens as well. Beautiful. All right. It's on all the screens. You can see the 8 sections of your life. It's like a pizza, right? Each slice represents the main areas of our life. So starting with career, and money, and then moving on to home and family. Then we have personal growth, hobbies and creativity, life purpose and vision, relationships, spirituality, health and well-being. The reason this is a wheel is because if one of those areas is more blind than the other areas, there's less awareness, it affects everything else. It affects how smoothly your wheel rolls through every day. So you could be very aware in your career and and be doing really well with money. But if you haven't worked on your personal growth, that's going to create a major hiccup because you don't have the self-awareness that then guides you to better decision making, or how to pursue a career that is more meaningful because you know yourself. How are you going to pursue a good career that excites you and that is aligned with you if you don't know yourself? And the more we know ourselves, the more we've worked on that personal growth, the more that will then affect where we pursue our time and career, how we invest and spend our money. Do we spend our money on things that are distracting ultimately? Or do we become aware, oh, this isn't really what I'm doing here is a distraction. It's not supporting my mental, spiritual, personal well-being, and maybe I spend it on a yoga class or um, a session with the teacher. Another obvious example is relationships. You know, if your spirituality is very advanced, you could be meditating a lot. You could be sitting on a cushion. You could be up in the mountain for a long time meditating. But we see this all the time, that when you're not in touch with real life, meaning you come down from the mountain and you engage in career, in money, in relationships, in family, um, in your relationship with creativity and your life purpose, and so on. Those things are, they need their own attention. They need their own development. So just being spiritual alone also doesn't help. Um, all these things work together. So the exercise today is to reflect. There's two steps: to rate the level of awareness that we think we have in each category. So one is the lowest level. Those of you who have read the 5 levels of awareness, this is based on that. So if you think you just haven't really explored a certain area of life, for example, spirituality, it's just low, it's okay, there's no judgment here. This is assessing as best as you can how much awareness you think you have in a particular area so that you can identify it, so that you can do something about it, so that you can round out your wheel so it doesn't affect the other areas, but it supports the other areas, in fact. And you know, some people ask, well, how do I know how aware I am in the particular area? Just uh, do your best. See, as you go through the 8 slices, you get a comparative sense. Oh yeah, I've been, working out, and I'm watching nutrition programs, and I'm fully aware of my health, physical well-being. So you probably have more experience there, more awareness of what you put in your body and so forth. But you may have not really experienced creativity so much. You haven't taken the time to explore arts and crafts or pottery or painting or music or anything. So comparatively, you're going to have less awareness around hobbies and creativity than you do with health and well-being. So just assess. We'll take a minute, everyone, to just put the number, either write it down, or if you're using an iPad or whatever it is, and put a number on each of the slices of your wheel of awareness. All right. Finishing up. This now takes us to the second step, which is what I call achievable goals. So the number one thing we set ourselves up for failure with all the time is by setting our sights too high, by promising things that are beyond what we know we can achieve. And we do this because we want to impress, we want to please at work, or our parents, or even our peers, and even ourselves. But you have to energetically look at what you're doing. Every time you say, I'm going to do this, every time you set yourself a goal, say it's, you want to go to the gym every day this month for 1 month. Unless you can truly, truly, truly in your heart know that this is something you can do, don't promise yourself that. What happens is it's a contract with yourself. And if you break the contract, even if it's something that you're doing for work, something you're doing for other people, it's ultimately a contract between you and yourself. And if you break the contract, you let yourself down, and it crushes your confidence. It resets you down to square one, down to zero. Now you have to start again. So if you're always over promising, always saying, I'm going to do something and then failing because you don't achieve it, it's because not because you're broken, not because you're not good enough, it's because you promised too much. Find what I call an achievable goal, meaning something you know 100% you can achieve. Right? You set yourself that goal, or if it's for somebody else at work. And what happens then, psychologically, energetically, is that you build a baseline of confidence, meaning you promise something. Again, this is a contract with yourself. And when you achieve that, you now have a higher baseline, a level of confidence from which you can now operate than you had before. If you promise, overpromise, and don't achieve it, then you drop to the beginning again. You start all over. And if we always overpromise, you can go your whole life and never really build self-worth, never really build self-confidence. This way you can't succeed in work because you overpromise and then you don't deliver. So set something that you know you can 100% achieve, and then you have a new baseline. And then from there, you can set the next achievable goal. There are many, many books written, especially recently, on 1 degree change, on how true progress, true growth is very incremental. So instead of saying, I'm going to go to the gym every day this month, and then failing, even if it's day 20, you fail, you let yourself down, you berate yourself. People that you told around you that you're doing it, they see that you're no longer doing it. It doesn't help anyone. If you got to day 20, okay, then that's a baseline. Say, okay, I'm going to do this again. I'm going to do it to day 20. Whatever it is, look within you, either from your practical experience or from just tuning in. Okay, what feels safe? What feels doable? What feels comfortable? What do I know in my heart I can achieve? And then you set yourself a goal that is in alignment with that. And then you keep doing that. Before you know it, you'll be successful in career because people know they can depend on you. You grow confidence, the energy of confidence around yourself and with yourself. That will carry you and attract great partners, more money. It will have naturally leadership positions will be offered to you. They will gravitate towards you because you're doing the inner work through self-awareness that will allow that reality to take hold. So looking back at your wheel of awareness, look at the slices, the areas where you scored the least, the lowest, and set yourself an achievable goal. So if it's in spirituality, you just haven't really done much, don't say, oh, I'm going to attend a 10-day retreat in silent retreat right away. Just say, I'm going to do 1 meditation class this month. or whatever feels comfortable. You're going to join Cirak next Saturday for the session because we're going to meditate at the end of this for 15 minutes. And whatever you feel you can do in your wheel of awareness, set yourself achievable goals in however many areas you feel comfortable. Maybe just one area. Maybe it's 2 or 3 areas. But again, don't promise, overpromise, and too much because then you just let yourself down. So just spend a minute writing down an achievable goal, or 2 or 3, however many you feel comfortable with, for your wheel of awareness. And you're going to do those things this week between this session and next week. You can take a screenshot of this wheel of awareness if you want, or DM me afterwards, and I will send it to you, or Tam will send it to you. All right. Okay. We have a question. Okay. Bring up the other viewer. I'm learning to let go of judgments, either good or bad, but then I just realize every sentence seems like a judgment or opinions. It's challenging to let go of. Cirak, how would you see this? That is true. Every opinion is just judgment. And the answer, the solution, is contained in the need to let go of it. So you have an awareness now, but when you become aware, oh, I'm thinking opinionated again, I'm judging again, the resistance to that is what's making it difficult. That's how energy works. What you resist persists. So you have the awareness now. Oh, I'm judging again. I'm just full of opinions. When you follow it up with, I really want to get rid of this. I don't want this. I don't want to think this way. That's what prolongs it. That's what amplifies it. The solution is the first bit, noticing it. Oh, I'm having strong opinions. I'm looking at people, the way they dress or the way they carry themselves, and I'm judging them. That noticing alone is enough that over time it will dissolve. That judgy voice in you will dissolve because it's no longer being fed through reactivity. The moment you judge yourself for judging others, the moment you judge yourself for thinking that way, it's just more judgment. You're not introducing a new energy, the energy of noticing, the energy of awareness, the energy of letting things be. The energy of letting things be dissolves all of this problematic energy that we have, that we generate, particularly with our mind. So the noticing is it. You're already doing it. That's fantastic. And it's just the second part of following up the awareness with self-judgment or self-criticism or more resistance, like wanting it to be gone right away. Change is by nature gradual, and we don't just change from one moment to the next. And that's a good thing because we need to be stable. We could just flip from one to the next, and that wouldn't be a stable life. We have a nervous system that's built up over a long time, years. We have conditioned thoughts. We're disconnected from our body. All of these things have to come back into focus. And the good news is it happens faster than you think. So noticing, keep being aware. These are the thoughts I'm having. Before you realize it, you'll be a Zen master. Because that's the only difference between a Zen master, meditator, guru who's been doing that for 30 years and a beginner meditator, is that the Zen master still has opinions, still has troubles that come up in his head, still has thoughts that want to grab his attention about whatever. The difference is the Zen master can let them be. It's like, oh, there are the thoughts. That's my mind talking. Because you are not your mind, you are not your thoughts. And by practicing awareness, you become more and more the awareness and less the thoughts. So, yes, thoughts get less the more you live from awareness, because when you give a thought your attention, when you become identified with it, more thoughts tend to come along. It feeds the thinking mind, and more thoughts arise, and they're all, most of the time, just negative. They have one negative thought that you give your attention to, has many more negative baby thoughts in its wake. And that's when we really get pulled into the rabbit hole. So keep being aware of, what's the thought? And it's saying this or that. It's an opinion. It's judgy. Um, it's about the future. Here's another thought. It's about the past. This is a thought about guilt, and this is how it makes me feel. Noticing where you see that in your body. Suddenly, you can hear as I'm describing this, you're starting to just live from awareness. You're no longer identified with the opinions. You're no longer identified with the judgmental thoughts. And then you don't need to defend those when you're not identified with them. Then somebody can say whatever they want and have whatever opinion they want. You don't need to defend yourself because you're not attached to what is ultimately just the thought. It's a continuous stream of thoughts that race through our head all day long. And you're no longer living from identifying with these thoughts and needing to defend them towards others, needing to impose your will, but rather you're just noticing, being aware. These are the thoughts I'm having, these are the thoughts that person is having. And it takes some practice, but over time, you become your awareness. You start to live from your awareness. And then you're free. Then you can choose what thoughts do you want to give your attention to. Some thoughts are inspiring. Some thoughts are creative. Some thoughts bring ideas of, that you could build something or invent something or spend time a certain way or spend time with others. Give them your attention. They are beautiful thoughts. And by becoming more aware of your thoughts, you now have the ability to choose which thoughts you give your attention to. And then those beautiful thoughts start to multiply. And they start to make up your energy field. And now you're living a much more uplifted, positive, enlightened, um, and productive life. So mindfulness and awareness is not about trying to become enlightened or sit somewhere in stillness. No, it's about making better decisions. It's being clear through the resonance in your body whether going down a particular path is for you, and knowing when it's not for you, when it doesn't resonate. We get overwhelmed and we talk ourselves into all kinds of uh, poor decisions and misaligned situations when we live from the head, because the head is always negotiating and you can't really trust it. One moment it's this, tomorrow it'll be something else. The head doesn't know you. Your mind is a tool that you should use, but it doesn't know you. It doesn't know what's right for you. Your truth is in your body. So Beautiful question. Just keep noticing, keep being aware of the quality of your thoughts. And we can all do this. Like right now, if we just pause for 10 seconds in stillness, I'm going to do this too, and just notice any thoughts that arise. Yeah, I had a couple of thoughts. I had thoughts about the honking that I can hear, thoughts about the setup that's happening here. We can all be aware of thoughts. The tricky part is that some thoughts, they carry a strong charge. They really grip us. They grab our attention. They trigger us. And that pulls us into the thought. And so that's where we have to practice a little more. We all know we can be aware of simple thoughts. Oh, it's a beautiful sky today. The weather is sunny, or it's rainy, so I better take my raincoat, or whatever it may be. Those are neutral thoughts almost to anyone. They don't trigger anyone. But practicing with the light weights, with the light neutral thoughts, just notice, become aware of them. Then you're better prepared when the tricky ones come along that carry a charge, where you have some history with somebody, or some inner woundedness, a trauma, or stuck energy around something. Those thoughts, what you'll notice, will grip you much more tightly and pull you into them. Same thing applies. Just keep practicing. When you notice that your mind has drifted and it's pulled you with it, you'll come out of it sooner or later. Even if it's after 5 minutes, 10 minutes, you'll wake up from it. It's exhausting to be consumed by the thought, by in your thoughts. So, and the moment you come out of it, notice, oh, my mind had drifted. I wasn't present for the last 5 minutes, and accept that. Don't berate yourself again. Oh, I shouldn't have done this. Why can't I be better? Why can't I control this mind? What's wrong with me? That just amplifies the whole thing. Just use it as a learning experience to practice greater awareness. Oh, my mind drifted. And just keep doing that over and over and over. We're going to do that for 15 minutes today, 12 minutes. And you can do this on your own, any free minute that you have, waiting at an elevator, being in line at the supermarket in the morning. You have some time, wherever it may be, and just notice your thoughts. Notice, become aware of them. And then they no longer own you. Yeah, somebody said a lot of thoughts in 10 seconds. This is shocking when you first practice this, is to notice just how busy your mind is. That there's a constant stream of thoughts. And each thought carries energy. And each thought, if you give it your attention, drains your energy. Just little tiny hits. But all day long, it drains your energy. You don't realize how much energy it takes till you start practicing this a little bit. And at first, that can be a big surprise, a big wake-up call. Oh my goodness, so much of my energy is being consumed by my thoughts. So if you just get 10%, 5%, 10% of that time back, that you're no longer consumed by thoughts. Because when you're consumed by thoughts, you're lost. You're not here. You're not experiencing life. You're not seeing the pretty sunset. You're not paying attention. Most accidents happen when we're lost in thought and we're not paying attention. You're completely missing out on life when we're consumed by our thoughts. And most people spend 60, 70, even 80% of their day consumed by their thoughts, ruminating. That's so much of our life lost. So you get all that time back when you practice thought awareness and become more aware of the thoughts. And the awareness is what counts, not the judging, oh, I shouldn't be having opinions. I should just notice that I'm having opinions, and then that thought leaves you again. It's not replaced by the next thought of it shouldn't be this way. Once you get that, then you don't fall for the trick anymore of generating more resistance to something that you don't want, to life. So we're going to do a meditation now. It's 12 minutes. You can even do it for 1 minute. You can do it for half an hour. I have the personality. When I first started practicing thought awareness, and I realized, oh my gosh, this is the secret sauce to breaking free of this constant judging, this constant mental suffering, this constant striving, this constant chasing, this constant noise that is upsetting us, and we're obsessed with it. That prevents us from sleeping. It prevents us from making good decisions. It prevents us from spending quality time with each other. It prevents us from performing well, from achieving things, and developing confidence. It prevents us from everything. So when I saw this, I spent every 3 minutes practicing thought awareness. And sometimes that was just a minute or two when during very busy days. But when I had a half a weekend day or something, I would sit there for 2-3 hours. And the more you put in, the sooner you see the benefit. Again, it's a little incremental. At first, you wake up to the realization, oh my gosh, my mind is so busy. How am I ever going to come out of this? But you will. You just have to show up to a session like this. If it's once a week, it's once a week. If you can spend every day this week for 2 minutes, just do 2 minutes. I've worked with clients, they could not do more than 2 minutes, 1 minute per day. And we started there. We started with 1 minute, 2 minutes. After a month, it was up to 6 minutes. You just keep setting achievable goals. And now, 2 years later, it's an hour. It's 2 hours. There's no limit. There's full awareness of what the mind's activities are. If you can change your whole life around into your most glowing self in 2 years, wouldn't you do it? And it's not like you're struggling along the way, and then suddenly after 2 years, you're in a much happier, better, adjusted, aligned place. You feel the benefits immediately along the way. So it's gradual, but people ask all the time, how long does it take to really, really become fully self-aware, fully aware of one's thoughts, and start living a really present life, and being connected to not the worry of your thoughts, but to the magic of everything in existence, to realize, oh my gosh, here we are, we're in this three-dimensional space, and nature is just incredible. The creativity, the shapes, the sizes, the colors, what humans have created, what they've come up with, and architecture and design and inventions and materials, and then people connecting with people in a meaningful way, with family members, with each other, and with yourself, to feel yourself not as this lonely, anxious, small being, but a connected being, connected to source, to a higher purpose, to have a truly, truly meaningful life that isn't based on outcome, but is based on your ability to just be here right now and see things as they are without judging them, noticing any thoughts, but living from your awareness. This is what enlightenment is. This is what the enlightened state is like. Nothing can bother you anymore. Nothing can get at you. Life cannot impact you negatively. You just see things as they are, and then you take action to change it if it needs to be changed. So now that's when you step into your true power. That's when you really start being of service and giving, and then that really grows your heart into a much bigger and better place. And life gets a lot better. You see the suffering then of others. You recognize that others are generating their own suffering, and you see how you used to do it to yourself. That most of this pressure and anxiety and suffering that we experience is self-induced by not having a clean, healthy, awareness-based relationship with yourself, with your thoughts. So, great question. Thank you. Um, let's do the exercise. I'll set a timer. I'll bring everyone back after 12 minutes. And what you're going to do now, I'll guide you through the first part of the meditation. And then the second part, you'll be on your own. But the emphasis is everything we've just been talking about. Notice when your mind has drifted. There's a moment when you wake up from that. Oh my gosh, my mind had drifted again. Like someone said, you're going to have many thoughts, and some of them will grab you, and you'll just go down the rabbit hole. And a whole minute or two or three will go by, and you'll just be lost in thought. But then you wake up from it. That is a key moment when you wake up, when you snap out of it. And in that moment, you can either judge and react and go, what kind of mind is this? Why can't I stay focused? We're going to focus on our breath. But you can do it on with a spot on the wall or a finger or a candle, anything. The moment you start to focus on something, you start to notice how quickly your mind drifts. And if you can practice, when you notice that you were lost in thought, practice non-judgment, practice acceptance, practice, oh my gosh, my mind has drifted. And without frustration, without dismay, you just bring your attention back to whatever you were focusing on. We're going to use the breath. So before we do this exercise, there's another question. Thank you. Thank you so much. If there are 5 stages of awakening in this book, does Cirak believe there's a higher level of awakening? What could it be? In real life, how can one enter the next stage of awakening? What is the most important thing to do for awakening? Well, the most important thing is accepting what is happening right now. The acceptance, and to accept things, you need to be aware of them. If you're not aware of them, then things are happening and you're reacting, you're judging, you're embroiled, and you can't really do much. You can't grow from it because you're too sucked into the situation. But if you're aware of, okay, somebody's yelling at me, for example, or something went wrong today. I had planned a day, I had to do 5 things, but 3 things didn't happen. If you notice that, that's a very different experience than reacting to it, saying, I should have done better, why did this happen? I didn't plan well, or seeking blame. The person that's yelling at you is like, what's wrong with them? This is getting entangled. This is not an acceptance of the situation, it's a reaction to the situation. An acceptance of the situation is seeing it from your state of awareness. Somebody's yelling at me. When you don't react to that, but you actually see it from awareness, then you see much more. Then you see, oh, they're maybe they had a bad day and they're just venting, or maybe they just had they lost somebody in their life, and they're going through a difficult time, or they lost their job, or they got bad news in some other way, or they're just in pain for whatever reason. When you witness the situation from awareness, you have the bigger perspective to be able to see that. Why are they like that? What's the motivation of this person yelling at you? If you react right away, how dare you? You shouldn't be yelling at me. You get the me, your own stories involved. Then the situation just blows up and gets worse. So learning to notice where you experience things is the key to observing the situations around you. So it has to do with your body. It's not awareness is not a mental thing. Awareness is, this is how I feel right now. The person is yelling at me. So say you feel something in your stomach because perhaps you grew up in a home where there was a lot of yelling, and it brings back those memories. So that will trigger something perhaps in your stomach. Could be anywhere, but a lot of emotions are in your stomach. If you react to that feeling and say, I don't want this, this shouldn't be happening, you person yelling at me, you are to blame, then you're just reacting blindly and the same pattern will continue your whole life. But if you can observe, notice the sensation in your body, oh, I'm feeling this in my stomach. It looks like this, it's tense, it feels like my intestines are, all tight, wound up, or maybe it's a broad simmering sensation. Whatever it is, notice the quality of the sensation, the location of it, and what it feels like. And we spoke about earlier, some practitioners say they give it a name. Oh, this is what uh, my childhood resistance trauma felt like, and allow that feeling to be, allow it to arise and pass. It's not going to stay forever. It's going to arise and then it's going to go away. Then you maintain a level head, and then you can handle the situation much more articulately. You can calm the person down because you're not taking it personally. You've allowed the feeling to come and go, the me part. You've allowed that to come and go, keeping you grounded, keeping you balanced, keeping you able to see the situation from multiple perspectives. And now you can assist the person. You can be of help. You can say, I hear that you're really upset. You wish to share. Um, Maybe it's too much and they're really aggressive. Then you can say, it sounds like you're really upset. You can acknowledge them. But this isn't the time or place to be having this type of conversation. So let's talk about it later, maybe. Or whatever it may be, the information will come to you. You will know how to handle the situation because you're not in your reactive mind. You've allowed yourself to feel your feelings. That brought wisdom of how do I respond to the situation. You kept a level head throughout the whole time, and now you take action to manage the situation, to deal with it. So as you go through levels 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and then 5, you get better and better and better and better at this. Level 4, for example, there's not much of a self. There's a little layer of me still left, but it's not much. And then level 5, it's a dissolution of self. Um, so you could argue that the less my stories there are, the less you react. That it's letting go of the your own stuff and your own stories that leads to a lessening of of me, right? And when you no longer carry around this heavy me that needs to be defended, that needs to assert itself, that needs to control things, that needs to know things, and so forth. The less heavy your me is, the more you can just handle life efficiently and effectively. So that's the main difference as you go through the stages of awareness, levels of awareness. In the beginning, level 1, you're super identified as me, I. Life is happening to me, with the two. And then you start to dissolve that. Life is happening because of me, right? Because of how I see things, because of how I interpret things, because of how I've grown up and all that. So I actually have a say in how I perceive things, the because. And then we realize, well, this actually gives us the opportunity uh, to to reflect and heal and get better. So ultimately, life is happening for us at level 3. And level 3 is a big phase where we see things that happen, and instead of blaming, instead of resisting, we look for the lesson. You go, right, what is this saying about me? And that is a big shift and pivot from looking outward always to looking inward and dissolving the layers of stuff, feelings, and conditioning. And then as we remove those, then we start to move into level 4, which is a state of continuous flow. And you're in a co-creative space. It's not you. You realize you're not the source of inspiration. You're not the source of creativity. Your mind doesn't come up with new things. It can't. It only knows things from the past. Knowledge is by definition stale. Um, but there's a source of creativity, a creative cloud that, you know, if you want to call it that, from which we can pull, and that wants to come through us, that wants to us to be a free vessel that isn't closed off anymore, but that is open and receiving mode. And then the ideas flow like crazy. The biggest challenge once you move past level 3 is that you don't have time to implement all the great ideas and all the inspiration that you have, because there's only so much time in the day. You still need to eat and sleep and go to your job and so forth. But everything you do with greater awareness becomes more meaningful. So moving away from the outcome, that the goal is what brings meaning, but looking at the process, the day to day, and being present, being aware, this is what's happening right now. Even if it's somebody who's being unpleasant, even if you're noticing opinionated thoughts, even if you're noticing, realizing I didn't do 3 out of the 5 things I set out to do today. The awareness of that, there's so much potent, high frequency, quality, connected energy in that awareness. Then you realize those things are just a distant secondary. They don't really matter. The physical world, whether you get 3 things done today or 5 or 1, it's not worth getting upset about, because your awareness is such a stable place. It's such a connected place, connected to the source, connected to the divine, that whatever happens in the physical world, it becomes less and less heavy and less important and less able to upset you. It is the way it is, and resisting it won't change it. So you've learned to no longer resist what has already happened. You've learned to accept, okay, this is what's happened. Now, what can we do to change that or prevent it next time or learn from it? So the awareness grows as you move through the levels of, of awareness. And it simplifies your life. It makes you a much more powerful being. You come out of your anxiety, you come out of the fear-driven, the mind-driven life, and you start to flow. And bigger, more amazing things come to you than you could ever have imagined. The mind is very limited. Even your imagination is limited to who you are right now, what you can imagine right now. But there's an unlimited source of creativity that we can tap into, and that allow that to flow through us. So there are each chapter in that book has check boxes and a checklist and next steps at the end of the chapter. So review those, and you might find that you have a bunch checked off in level 3, but there's a few still from level 2, and maybe there's some that you're doing well, maybe level 4, whatever it is. It's meant to bring more awareness. Okay, this is an area in life that I need to work on, just like we had the wheel of awareness before. It's like we want a smooth wheel that's rolling and flowing, and then we will start to very soon see how our environment lines up differently to match our flowing state, to match our frequency, to match when you no longer give 80% of your day to negative thoughts, to ruminating, to being lost in thought, but rather you're choosing which thoughts and beneficial thoughts you give your attention to. Your whole life changes for the better. So I hope that that was helpful. All right. Thank you for the great questions. So let's do the exercise. So we're going to close our eyes and we're going to close our mouth. We're going to breathe through the nose, in and out through the nose. And right at the entrance of your nostrils, there's an area that's sensitive to the incoming and outgoing breath, where you can feel the touch of your breath. Look for that area. If you have trouble locating your breath, you can breathe slightly harder once or twice. Once you feel the touch of your breath, return to natural breath, normal breath. And let the detail of your breath pull you in closer, closer into the present moment. If your breath is shallow, let it be shallow. If your breath is deep, let it be deep. If it's more in the left nostril, let it be the left nostril. If it's more in the right nostril, let it be the right nostril. Or if it's in both nostrils, let it be both. Notice the temperature of the incoming breath. Notice the temperature of the outgoing breath. And notice if there's a difference. Notice the pace of the incoming breath. Notice the pace of the outgoing breath. And notice if there's a difference. Notice the length of the incoming breath. Notice the length of the outgoing breath. And notice if there's a difference. Whenever you find that your mind has wandered, simply notice it without frustration, without dismay, but with full acceptance. Bring your attention back to the incoming and outgoing breath at the entrance of your nostrils. Natural breath, normal breath. Observe your breath as it is, without wanting it to be different. Just noticing when your mind has drifted, and bringing your attention back to your breath without frustration, pure acceptance. Always back to the breath. And with that, you can gradually blink open your eyes. back to wherever you're sitting, noticing your environment. It's as simple as that. I'd like to put out a challenge for this week. I'm going to post a recording of what we just did. And if you can do this every day, once, 12 minutes, then you'll be well on your way to higher levels of awareness, living from awareness. Post it into the chat. There you go. So let's make this a 1-week challenge every day. Do this 12-minute guided meditation. It's exactly what we just did. It's a video, but obviously close your eyes and you can let the audio guide you. And then we will reconvene next week and we'll share our experiences. I'll help you tweak whatever's happening. We'll make some adjustments if you need. I can provide feedback. And we will keep growing our awareness together. So I thank everyone for attending. Big shout out to everyone in China and everyone else in the rest of the world. Also, please check out the events page. We have our India event coming up, and it's going to be an amazing event. Post this in here. There you go. And we will see you next week. Make sure you take the 1-week meditation challenge, thought awareness challenge, and you will be guaranteed to rise up the levels of awareness. See you then.